It was late night when an explosion shocked everyone, which soon ended with a power blackout in the whole city. People came out of their houses to see what had happened. The source of the explosion was found in a secret laboratory running underground in a closed industrial facility. The next morning, the police reported that they had found the dead body of Mr. John, a famous bankrupt billionaire, along with 12 Russian scientists who were supposed to be working at the secret facility before the explosion. But the investigating team was shocked to see the explosion site and the dead bodies, as Mr. John's head contained a strange hole and his brain was missing from inside, and 2 of the Russian scientists did not die in the explosion but were shot. The police told the press that they recovered a gun from the underground lab which contained the fingerprints of Mr. John. The police had yet to answer what all the deceased were doing at the hidden facility. What was the secret of the hole in Mr. John's head? Why was his brain missing from his body? And why did he shoot 2 men? The team had also found some weird, broken and never seen before machinery, equipment and tools from the site. The police also told the media that Mr. John was the owner of the closed underground factory, where he had built a secret lab facility and was using it for developing some secret technology. Later in the day, the investigation team called Mrs. Alina, the wife of Mr. John, for interrogation about her husband's secret project. Mrs. Alina was already in a state of shock. She told that she got married to Mr. John just a year ago. A few years back, I became a business partner with Mr. John, but after his wife's death in an accident, we became closer and started dating and got married. And when Mr. John went bankrupt, I brought his medical equipment manufacturing company and helped him in his bad days. But except this, I don't know anything about his secret lab, she told the investigation team. Elena was allowed to go home after interrogation, but the police said they would call her soon. While driving the car home, she was very confused and cried. But soon, something strange happened. The car's back got filled with a strange smoke. When she looked into the mirror, she found that the smoke was also entering her ears. She thought the car may have caught fire and tried to stop, but soon she heard a familiar voice in her ears saying, "Keep driving, darling. It's not fire, it's me." Mrs. Alina freaked out and lost control over the car. Soon the car crashed into a tree. When Mrs. Alina opened her eyes, she found herself in a hospital bed, but again she saw smoke entering her room. Mrs. Alina tried to shout, but soon she heard a voice saying, "Hey, it's me, John. No need to panic again." Mrs. Alina freaked out after hearing this. She started crying and said, "Where are you, John? How are you doing this? Please stop it. They lied to me that you died in that explosion. I just want to see you right now." "No, they didn't lie. I'm biologically dead," the voice said. "I don't understand," Mrs. Alina shouted. The voice said, "As you know, darling, our whole body is made up of atoms of different elements, and the same as our brain and its neurons. After a year of research, my team has created a technology in our lab which can turn our brain into gaseous form. And now our whole brain can exist independently in the air, working more powerfully. Currently, this room is filled with all my brain neurons in a gaseous form. But why did you create this weird technology? Mrs. Alina asked in a trembling voice. My technology defeated death, as now my brain is no longer part of a body or a cell, so they will not age. Neither will I, and it makes me immortal, the voice replied. But John, because of your weird experiment, many people have lost their lives, Mrs. Alina said. Honey, I really feel sorry for them. My team was really brilliant, the voice replied. But why do you kill your own people? Alina asked. I really didn't want to, but they were not ready to start the procedure, as they said the machine was not ready and it may lead to an explosion if we begin, but I was running out of money. I got bankrupted in developing the technology, and even after secretly using all your money, I had no more resources left to continue the project, and I didn't want to quit after coming so close. By the way, they are not the first people whom I've killed for achieving my goal. I even killed my first wife, Suzanne, when she somehow found out that I was doing weird experiments on people who were dying from it, and she was going to tell the police. So I killed her in a road accident before she could have opened her mouth. It was not an easy thing to do, but great inventions need great sacrifices. I hope you can understand all this, Alina, the voice said. So you can see me? Mrs. Alina asked in a scared voice. This smoke is scanning everything in the room right now, and even going into your body with your breath, so I can see you and even can read your mind through your brain neurons. And I can feel you are very scared right now, the voice said. Suddenly the doctor came, and the smoke disappeared. The doctors told Mrs. Alina that they were taking her to the MRI room to check if she had sustained any internal injuries. While in the MRI room, Mrs. Alina found that the smoke was nowhere around her. She said, "Are you still here, John?" but got no reply. Soon she asked the doctor to give her a pen and a piece of paper, as she wanted to say something but was having a problem speaking. She later asked the doctor to deliver her a written note to the police as soon as possible, as it contained a crucial message. The doctors called a staff member and did what Mrs. Alina asked. After an hour, when she came out of the MRI, the doctor said she was completely fine and can go home whenever she felt okay to do so. But soon, some police officers came into the hospital and said they were arresting Mrs. Alina, as they had found evidence of her helping her husband in his weird experiments and secret scientific project. Later, she was put in a special closed cell. At night, she again saw the smoke coming into her cell. "Soon," the voice said. "Don't worry, darling, they can't charge you with any crime, as you are not involved in anything wrong." "But you did," Alina replied, and the guards immediately closed all the air vents in her cell and turned on a vacuum suction machine. All the smoke was then trapped in airtight equipment, and so was Mr. John. Mr. Hudson, the head of the investigation team, came and thanked Mrs. Alina for telling them about Mr. John's crime and revealing the secret of his lab, his weird scientific project, and his missing brain. Mr. Hudson said, "Mr. John might have become immortal now, but he will live all his life in this metal bottle, and this is his punishment for his evil madness." But 2 years later, Mrs. Alina received bad news. A police officer called Mrs. Alina and told her that someone in their department had mistakenly opened Mr. John's box while shifting it to a safer place, and that this morning Mr. Hudson and 3 other police officers had been found dead due to suffocation. That night, Mrs. Alina saw the smoke entering her room, but this time she didn't get scared, as she knew what she had to do.